So I am Partha. I am co-founder at Life in Control, and this is the problem that we are trying to solve currently, which is insurance and the diabetes threat or the chronic condition threat, to be a little broader. So what does it mean in the current age for insurance economic models? See that longevity for all of us has increased because of advances in medical science. But at the same time, we are getting chronic conditions at a much younger age. And that means that the current insurance economic models, not just in India, but worldwide, will fail. If that's the case, how do we remove the current inefficiencies in the current care model? Now let's look at diabetes and what the inefficiencies are in the current care model. If you look at 50 to 60% of the patients do not reach the A1C target in India, right? And majority of the reasons are because of lack of compliance amongst patients. So we looked at it as technologists from as an outside in perspective, and we said that how can we remove some of these inefficiencies to create a care model that is more sustainable in the future. And the key to this care model was collaboration. Can we create a collaborative model where a doctor, a patient, as well as a coach collaborate amongst each other to create better care models for the patient? So this is essentially what Life in Control does. We have an EMR for the doctor, wherein the doctor can record the patient's data. And the doctor creates something called a care plan, which is prescription plus plus. So you have medication, goals, as well as dietary advice, exercise advice, etc. That syncs seamlessly to the patient as well as the coach who is a diabetes educator. And if a doctor does not have a diabetes educator or a coach, we are happy to provide them a diabetes educator or coach. And then the coach or the diabetes educator works on the care plan, works on the lifestyle advice for the patient, and the patient gets it at the convenience of his home through a smartphone device. So this is the care plan, the modules of the care plan: goals, medications, self-monitoring schedules, exercise plan, lab investigations, diet and food plan. And these are the insights that the patient sees once he starts logging in the data through the variety of sensors or through his mobile app. He can see how his blood glucose has been varying. He can see which foods are causing his blood glucose to spike, which foods are healthier for him. And the same data is visible to the doctors as well as the coaches. So whether it's SMBG data or CGM data. So we are the only platform that integrates with the Abbott CGM device as well, or the lab data. So we have an integrated view of the patient monitor data as well as the data that you collect at the clinic. But what happens when the patient goes back home once he has the care plan on the smartphone device? The real challenge is how do we coach him? Now coaching is a term that is derived from the sports world, right? So if you see how a basketball player improves his game or a golfer improves his game, he does that through coaching. People constantly assess him and they constantly give him feedback, right? So it all boils down to how good is your assessment, how comprehensive is your assessment, and how good is your feedback. Are you able to give the right feedback at the right time and in the right context? So our assessment is extremely comprehensive. We not just look at the conditional risk, we look at the lifestyle modification, we also look at the behaviors that are influencing the lifestyle. On top of that, we go to the level of micronutrients when we customize the diet plan for a patient. We customize the alerts for the patient till to the level of each patient. We do not have one size fits all kind of a program. It is very, very customized. We do continuous assessment, pair testing across each event. So for example, if we identify that a patient drinks alcohol and that causes a fluctuation in his blood glucose, we set up an event that tracks his alcohol intake. And then we give feedback by looking at all of this data. So hence it's extremely personalized, extremely customized. We also have education modules through which the patient gets better each day by managing his diabetes. We're learning a little more about diabetes each day. So from a patient perspective, how does it look like? So the patient is connected to a care provider who is a coach, but the patient is also connected to an AI-based bot, which we call Maya. The patient is also connected to a companion or a family member. We all know that in an Indian societal structure, how important a family is. And increasingly, as we are becoming nuclear, it's very important that I know that my dad is managing his diabetes, right? And if he's not, then I can poke him, I can message him saying that why aren't you not compliant to this particular care plan. These are all the automated interventions that we do through Maya, our chatbot. We can automatically detect and run the 15-15-15 rule for hypoglycemia, identify trends in his blood glucose patterns, give him feedback, remind him, etc. We can also give him reminders, education. Now we are building in some smart machine learning algorithms that could identify on how we could focus on patients who need the most attention. For example, can we identify patients who are about to get hypoglycemia and intervene at the right time? Can we identify patients from their patterns of non-compliance of medication that they are going to become completely non-compliant? So this is where some of the applications of machine learning are becoming increasingly important, because we have 70 million diabetics, right? And it's not going to be possible for us to focus on all of them in the same manner. There are going to be patients who would require more attention. There are going to be patients who, with little attention, as we saw the gentleman today, probably he was really motivated in managing his condition. So we'll have to focus on patients who require the most care. So our platform is configurable to multiple conditions, but I'll just skip that and go to the results. So we are doing a clinical trial with PGI Chandigarh as well as KMC Manipal, and we did a poster presentation with ATD last year, which showed the utility of our entire model. We have also partnered with RSSDI to create world's largest community of diabetic patients. We are currently powering the diabetes helpline by RSSDI, and I invite all of you to participate and send your patients to this community. They'll find answers which they so often have, and they contact the physicians. Now let's come to the machine learning algorithms that we are right now working on. There are 3 or 4 very important use cases that we are working on. The first one is the prediction of complications. So we know that we have had risk models, the UKPDS risk score for a long time, but we also know that HbA1c in itself is not a great predictor of risk. And we also know that variability of blood glucose is now emerging to be a very important factor when it comes to risk of complications. So what we are looking at is that when we have these various factors and we combine that with the blood glucose measurements of patients over time, how does it affect the risk scoring when it comes to complication? The second important use case that we are looking at is personalization of care plans. Can we, for example, personalize the goals of a patient based on various factors? So this is also a very important use case that we are working on. The second important use case in this very umbrella is, can we personalize the diet recommendations for a patient? So one patient responding to ice cream can be very different from another patient responding to ice cream, even if they are both diabetics. The third use case that we are looking at is personalization in terms of engagement. So we have built a very, very robust chat engine which has an analytics backend, and it not only integrates with our platform, but now we are integrating it with Google Assist as well as Facebook Messenger. Sir was mentioning about the demo that Sundar Pichai gave. I hope you all saw the demo where the bot actually calls the salon and talks to the salon person. So the real future would be distributed platforms. You need to create a system that gets distributed across the largest platforms, be it Google, be it Facebook, and personalize care and democratize it for everybody. And the last use case, I think this is something that I briefly talked about, is the predictive smart lists. So these are majorly the broad use cases that we are working on in machine learning. We have a strong team of engineers, mostly technologists, working with healthcare professionals, and we have background in business as well. So this is all. Thank you. I'll be happy to take any questions.